Hi everyone, welcome to Newegg TV. My name is Paul. Today I'm going to be doing an unboxing and overview of this Cooler Master GeminII M4 low-profile CPU heatsink fan. We're going to start off with a closer look at the retail box just to give you some details about this product. There's the front, pretty basic information there. There's the side, there's the back. Here's where we can find the actual dimensions of the product, right down here, and that's important. This is low profile, so it's going to be made to use in tighter systems. So for example, if you're building in a small form factor chassis, the cooler, looking at it from the top, measures 122 millimeters by 137 millimeters. So that's top to bottom and side to side, so make sure you have enough room in your space. You also have clearance here listed, so the entire height of the CPU measured from the bracket is 59 millimeters. And you also want to make sure that you do have clearance there, depending on which motherboard you use. However, I'll give you a closer look once I get this out of the box so you can see in more detail the layout of it, because it really isn't going to conflict with most motherboard layouts. Over here on the side, we have some vital specs, specifically the CPU socket compatibility, which is very important. It's compatible with the vast majority of modern CPU sockets, including Intel's LGA 2011 for Sandy Bridge E based computing systems, of course also LGA 1366, 1156, 1155, which covers the more recent second and third gen Intel Sandy Bridge and Ivy Bridge processors, also socket 775. For AMD you have FM1, which is Fusion Medium 1, so that will cover your Fusion-based motherboards, so if you're going to go with something along an A75 chipset. Also you have AM3+, AM3, and AM2, which also covers AM2+, so all of the modern AMD sockets covered as well. Here's the dimensions again, measured in millimeters and inches. The material, you have 4 direct contact heat pipes, and you also have aluminum fins. The weight is 210 grams. Heat pipes are 6 millimeters. The fan that's included is a low-profile fan, so it's still 120 millimeters, but it is 15 millimeters thick. Fan speed varies between 500 to 1600 RPMs. It is PWM. You also have airflow of 17.4 to 58.4 cubic feet per minute. Air pressure is between 0.18 and 1.76 millimeters. Life expectancy of 40,000 hours. Noise level of 8 to 30 decibels. Here's a look at the contents of the retail box. Of course, you have the M4 cooler itself over there. We're going to come back and show you some close-ups on that in just a moment. I'm going to go over the mounting hardware for the various types of sockets, starting with the Intel LGA 2011 socket, which is fairly unique because LGA 2011 has a universal backplate that you use. So it's convenient because you don't need to worry about using this included backplate. But simply put, you will take these 2 brackets, attach them to the bottom of the cooler using the included screws that are over here, and then from there you will mount that on the pre-installed universal LGA 2011 bracket, and then you can use the included wrench here to tighten down those 4 nuts. You also have some rubber stoppers here to act as standoffs to provide some extra protection between this mounting hardware and the LGA 2011 socket. For other Intel solutions, such as 1366, 1155, 1156, and 775, you have a couple other brackets here. Again, you mount those to the bottom of the heatsink at the base plate, and then from there you will also use this included universal bracket. The sort of X pattern here is for all of your Intel sockets, so this side of the bracket goes against the back of your motherboard. You will then feed these threads from the top of your motherboard and the included heatsink fan down through that, and then from the back you will use these nuts and simply tighten those down. They have also included a socket adapter there with Phillips head or flat head, so you can use that to more easily tighten those down. Finally, we have a couple different AMD brackets, and the reason there's actually 2 different types of AMD brackets is simply to provide you the option to sort of orient the cooler 90 degrees one way or the other. So in one sense, you can apply these 2 brackets on the side, and that will give you 90-degree orientation one way. Or if you want to rotate it, you can use these 2 brackets on the other side, and that will give you the option to rotate the fan and install it on your motherboard the way that you best see fit, depending on the layout of that motherboard, of course. You also, of course, have a user manual right there. It's got a bunch of different languages. If you're familiar with Cooler Master's popular Hyper 212 Plus, Hyper 212 Evo CPU heatsink fans, very similar mounting solution as you might recognize with the socket and the bolts from the back and everything. Of course, here are the 4 screws that you use to mount any of these brackets to the cooler, and then Cooler Master has also provided a little plunger full of thermal paste here that you can, well, you'll need with any of the socket mounting solutions that you go with, because you always have to have thermal paste. Speaking of thermal paste, this is where you apply it. Well, you probably don't apply it here, you probably apply it to the heat spreader on your CPU, but then this is the point of contact from the cooler that will go against your CPU itself. It does have a protective plastic on there, so you peel that off before you actually go ahead with the installation. You also notice that here that has direct heat pipe contact, which is one of the features that Cooler Master introduced with the Hyper 212 Plus originally, and it's proved to be very effective as far as wicking the heat away from the CPU heat spreader, getting it into the heat pipes, distributing it into the aluminum fins of the heatsink, and then of course the 120mm fan at the top, which is going to be directing air down across those aluminum fins. Provides a little bit of extra airflow as well for any components that you might have around the CPU socket on the motherboard. So a lot of times you'll have voltage regulators, power delivery. It'll provide some extra airflow over those to keep those cool. And then of course, just setting it flat there, you can see this is a very low profile heatsink fan, so especially in a low profile case situation, provided you have enough vertical height available in the case, you should be able to install this. And with the size of the heatsink as well as the fan, it's still going to provide a nice good amount of heat dissipation. There's just sort of a rotational view from the different sides. As you can see, you have 4 6mm heat pipes, each sort of arcing up into the heatsink at various angles. And then finally, you do have that 4-pin connector there for the 120mm fan. And that's going to wrap it up for this video, guys. Once again, this has been the Cooler Master GeminII M4 low-profile CPU heatsink fan. I'm Paul with Newegg TV. If you'd like to see more tech videos, you can check out our Newegg YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Newegg. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.